Jay here, Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm live. I'm in my kitchen, so get involved in the chat and the comments. We're going to be talking about all the latest Manchester United news. A lot of it focusing on outgoings or the lack of outgoings. So I want to hear your guys' opinions on that. So make sure you hit that like button and let me know, what do you think? We're going to be talking about Jadon Sancho. What is happening with that move or any move? I think he's turned down about 4 offers now. I think he could have gone to Chelsea, Roma, Besiktas. I think maybe Juve as well. So we'll get into that. Then we'll look at Alejandro Garnacho. There's all these conflicting reports on where Chelsea are up to with that transfer. Are they going to make that deal happen? Are they going to buy Jadon Sancho? Alejandro Garnacho? I'm getting them mixed up. What's going on? What is happening with this bomb squad, as they've been termed? Because it does feel like Manchester United are sort of stuck in this bit of limbo with them all, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like much is happening. Many of them are moving on, or any of them are set to move on. So I want to know what you think. Loads of people in the chat already. Colin Coupleditch, Paul B, Mika Webb, Wayne Davis, Maury Boogie, Ali Diaz, Chris Griffiths. Good to see all you wonderful people. Let's have a look at the Garnacho story then, because we had this last night from the Mail, where it says Alejandro Garnacho turns down Champions League club or moved to Champions League club as exiled Man United star continues to push for Chelsea. So it's saying here that Alejandro Garnacho has turned down a move to a top European side in favour of a dreamed of move to Chelsea, with the Manchester United exiles' time at Old Trafford set to come to a close. The Argentinian was placed in Ruben Amorim's 5-man bomb squad at the start of the summer, instead with fellow one-away stars Marcus Rashford, Tyrell Malacia, Jadon Sancho and Antony. The Portuguese manager is believed to have told the Carrington graduate to start looking for a new club after he voiced his disappointment at being benched for Man United's Europa League final. We kind of know all that. So let's get into the nitty-gritty here about what he's turned down and where he could be going. So it goes on to say here, Daily Mail Sport reported on Sunday that incensed supporters had defaced a picture of the 21-year-old outside Old Trafford, crossing out Garnacho's face in the promotional image. It says here, that's it. Thank you. Finally, got to the nitty-gritty. It says, while talks between Chelsea and Man United are believed to have restarted positively, Garnacho is so assured of his desire to relocate to West London, he has turned down a promising offer from Bundesliga giants Bayern Munich. So he could have gone to Bayern Munich, apparently, according to the Mail. Seen this in one or two other places as well online. Let me know what you think. But apparently, he's holding out for this move to Chelsea. Now, I get it. I get the fact that you want to stay in the Premier League. And I know a lot of people will be angry at Garnacho for not taking the Bayern Munich move if that was really on the table. But I understand the idea that if you settled in England, you don't want to move abroad. I think anyone, no matter what your job, has the right to say, I don't want to move to a different country. I think that's fine. But eventually you have to make the move when it's offered to you in that country. So that move would be Chelsea. He's made it clear he wants to go to Chelsea. So if move to Chelsea is on the table, I don't see there's any reason why Alejandro Garnacho to turn it down. The problem you've got is Chelsea. There's so many different reports about where Chelsea are up to. I don't even know which one to tell you about, because at one point it looked like 50 million's on the table. Then we're seeing some reports, seen it in a few places, saying 25 million pounds is what Chelsea want to pay for him. Well, that's ridiculous. You cannot get Alejandro Garnacho for 20 million quid, 25 million quid, sorry. That would be absolutely ludicrous. So there's just all these conflicting reports on where we're up to. There's also talk that Chelsea have to sell, is it Nkunku, before they can make a move for him. So it just feels like we're in a bit of limbo at the minute with Alejandro Garnacho. So let me know what you think. I want to know what you think. I think it was Sky Cava, who's one of the presenters on Sky, Cavi Solikol, is it? He was saying that Chelsea value Alejandro Garnacho at 25 million. Now, I'm sorry, there's no chance. No matter what you think of Alejandro Garnacho, there's no way he's worth 25 million. He's worth much more than that. We have seen so many players who haven't got the experience of Garnacho, haven't got the talent of Garnacho, who haven't got the ability that Garnacho has in terms of what he brings to a team, carrying the ball, scoring goals, creating goals. I know he had a poor season last season, and I know it can be frustrating in that final third, especially with his decision-making. But let's not forget, Alejandro Garnacho's overall record is pretty impressive. I'm going to get into it now because it's sort of annoyed me, this one, because I think people go, well, just get rid. Well, no, don't just get rid for silly money, because that would be insane, right? The guy has played 93 Premier League games. Yeah. What is he, 20? Is he 20? Has he turned 21 yet? Sorry, he's 21. Forgive me. He turned 21 last month, right? So he's only just 21. He's played 93 Premier League games at the age of 21, which is quite rare. And he's had 26 goal involvements. Now, that's not unbelievable numbers, but it's not that bad. If you've got a goal involvement, what? Better than 1 in 4, not quite 1 in 3 at the age of 21. That's not too shabby. I think you can look at that and go, okay, he's got some ability, he's got some talent. I think he was one of the highest ranked under 21-year-olds last season. Obviously, he was under 21 in world football in terms of his goal involvements. So it's not like Alejandro Garnacho is terrible. He's also a Puskas Award winner, let's not forget. And he's had some big games for Manchester United. So I don't like this idea that United could be in a position where you go, oh, just get rid of him. Look here, he's come for the academy. It's all profit. I know we bought him from Atletico, but he's still all profit. Let's just get anything for him and get him out the door. No, Manchester United should be getting a decent amount of money for him. John Neal's in the chat. Let me know what you think. I want to hear your guys' opinions. John Neal says, we need to be strong and hold out for his worth to send a message out. I agree. Astaire says, Roma interested in Malacia. Garnacho to Chelsea, 50 million, or he can stay grounded. Antony Tabessis is also taking a piss. So is Sancho. What are they waiting? Just go. Yeah, the whole bomb squad, as they're being called. I don't really like that name, but I'll use it just for the sake of brevity. It seems like there's a bit of an issue with all of them trying to get them moved on. It seems like none of these deals are easy. Even the Antony to Real Betis, Antony's move to Real Betis couldn't have gone much better, other than maybe the Europa Conference final where he didn't turn up. He scored loads of goals. He got loads of assists. He got loads of Player of the Match awards. The fans love him. He exceeded expectations. The price for him isn't that much. I think it's around 30 million United want for him. For a player we paid 80 million for 2 seasons ago, whatever it was, 3 summers ago. And Betis aren't willing to pay that money or unable to pay that money. It's ridiculous. But going back to Garnacho, though, Phil Berry says, let him rot if we don't get what we want. Brian Casey said, normally I'd say rot in the reserves, but you don't want him or Sancho anywhere near the club, near the impressionable youngsters at the club. So we're just going to pay the extra 25 million. Let him go for 25 million. I'm not so sure about that. John Kine says, Jay, put Sancho in the reserves and fine him 250k a time when he doesn't play. It's an idea. I don't know if it's feasible. Wando Dwangu says 50 million or he stays. Adam Kenny says, I wish Garnacho would go somewhere like Napoli. We get a juicy sell on. He has a nice career, a la the McTominay method. Yeah, I do think there's wherever he goes, there needs to be a bit of a sell on clause, don't there? Because we've seen it this summer with the likes of Alvaro Fernandez, the likes of Oidele, the likes of Anthony Elanga. We got sell on money. Anthony Elanga's a good one to use an example. Anthony Elanga, who did okay at United when he was at United, talented young lad, probably overplayed, didn't benefit from the fact we had, a bit of a change going on where the manager who gave him his debut, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer left, Ralph Ragnick came in. The Ralph Ragnick tenure was more or less a disaster. Anthony Elanga scored some important goals. I remember I was over in Madrid when he scored against Atletico. Obviously got the goal at Ellen Road, but he fell off a bit of a clip form-wise. Goes to Forest, does well at Forest. Don't think there's any denying that. And then gets a 55 million quid move, is it, to Newcastle? If he's worth 55 million quid, I think Garnacho is, to be honest with you. I'd take 50 for him, though, where we're at. You think, all right, just get 50 million quid for him. But I look at players like Elanga, players like Madueke, and I think Garnacho's better than him. I just do. And I know people go, well, what about his attitude, Jay? He's got this attitude problem. It's not unmanageable. It's not like he's out getting absolutely out of his head every night or he's fighting with everyone. He's doing some silly things on social media and he gave a poor interview after the Europa League final. I'm not excusing it. I'm not saying that that's all okay. It isn't. But he's not like he's a complete problem child that can't be managed. Of course he can. He's played over 130 games for Manchester United at the age of 21. So he can definitely use it. He can definitely play. Let me know what you think. Get involved. I just think anything less than 50 million, we're getting ripped off. DJ Neil Rimo, new member. Welcome to the membership. Extra content on the members section. Chris Holt says, I don't understand how footballers are happy to not play football and just wait out contracts. It's not exactly appealing to other clubs, that attitude. Yeah, we've seen it, haven't we? We've seen it at other clubs. I don't know if you saw the meltdown or the furore from the PFA Awards last night. I couldn't believe Manchester United players didn't win anything after our sterling performance last season. where you had, I think it was Alexander Isaac, didn't go to the awards, even though I think he was in the team because he said he couldn't because promises have been made and broken, all the rest of it, and it wouldn't be appropriate. There's been a bit of pushback from Newcastle. It's all becoming a bit of a horror show for Alexander Isaac, and he wants that move to Liverpool, and Newcastle don't want to give it him. But we've seen that player power can often rule. Players can often force a move, can get their own way. That can happen. With Garnacho, he's made his feelings clear. He wants to go to Chelsea. I think that is encouraging Chelsea to try maybe and play hardball, to go, well, look, he's not going anywhere else. He only wants to go to Chelsea. If you don't sell him to us, you're going to be stuck with him. You don't want him. So why should we pay loads of money for him? And I think United can just say, right, fine, if you're not going to pay what we want, then you're not going to get him. Talking of not getting him, there's a story in the Evening Standard. It's a bit of an old one, I think, to be honest with you. I think we've had this story before about Jadon Sancho rejecting a move to Roma. He's still in limbo. I think there was a move at 17 million quid, I think it was rumored to be around, which is some drop-off from a player who cost 70-odd million. But United were willing to pay that, according to Fabrizio Romano. I think this has come from via the Evening Standard. United will to accept that, sorry, not pay it. However, he doesn't want to go to Roma. Again, I can understand it. If you don't want to go to Italy, fair enough. I don't think any player should be forced to go necessarily to a different country if they don't want to go there. But Jadon Sancho's had a lot of offers now. He's had a lot of offers. He could have stayed in England. He could have gone to Chelsea. He didn't want to go to Chelsea because the wages weren't right. There was talk of Juve coming in for him. For whatever reason, that didn't work out. Roma didn't work out either. Then there was talk of him maybe going to Turkey. I think the Sixers were in for him. He didn't want to go there. There can't only be, these small sort of parameters with which you're willing to move. It has to be, a club in England that are willing to pay me 250k a week that are in the Champions League, whatever. That's not going to happen. You have to sort of accept that your star isn't shining bright enough for you to have your pick of the top clubs in Europe. That's where Jadon Sancho is at the moment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about Garnacho. Let me know what you think about Jadon Sancho. Santa Notch says, remember when Dortmund wanted 120 million for him? I remember it well, Notch. I do. I thought at one point there was people, and I remember them saying we should pay it. I remember covering that story extensively when the channel just started, and Dortmund were playing hardball, and there was a lot of people out there saying, look at his numbers. He could be going on to be one of the greats, the all-time greats. 120 million, we could pay that, and it looked like a bargain. I mean, I don't often say this, but especially about a player like Jadon Sancho, who's done the square root of sod all in a United shirt. But when you talk of it like that, I think we got away with it with only 72 million or whatever it was. Jay, has there been any update on Kobe after that knock? Is he back in training, even the first team yet? I was thinking, Sekou Kone, sorry, not Kobe. You put Kobe, I think you mean Kone. Maybe he would have concussion and need to take a few weeks. I think we'll be back with a bigger update next week for the... we're going to have the academy reviews back next week. Let me just have a look. It's a good question, that. Simon Stone tweeted 3 hours ago, so thanks for flagging this up. Sekou Kone will be wearing a mask when he comes back from the collision that led to last week's National Cup game being abandoned. Apparently fractured his eye socket in a collision at Tamworth that led to the match being abandoned. So it's not great, obviously, fracturing your eye socket, but it looks at one point like it could be even worse. I know there's not many things that are worse than that, but when you see games getting abandoned, you worry, don't you? Because we saw the reports and it's like the match has been abandoned. Sekou Kone's had a head injury. I was actually worried that this could be sort of, a very, very serious incident indeed. But it seems as though he's going to be okay. He's going to have to wear a mask, but it's his fractured eye socket. So obviously, he can still continue to play football long term with something like that. We're just glad he's not as badly injured as we first feared. Chris Griffey says, who wouldn't want to live in Rome for a year or two? Beautiful city, lots of culture. Just shows how small-minded Jadon Sanchez is. Suman Chetri says, Sancho might be the worst signing us in the history of the sport. I think he's a contender for the worst United signing, pound for pound. I don't think he's the worst player we've had. We've had worse players than Jadon Sancho. But I've done a load of videos on this. I did a video on this. I don't want to label a point about Jadon Sancho being the worst signing. You can make your own minds up. But we need to start moving these players on. We've got, 12 days, 13 days of the transfer window left? If we are going to make any moves, there was talk one there. I think I covered this on my news earlier on in the week about us being in for Hulman, the kid from Sporting. Looking at Adam Wharton, although they didn't see much in that, I'm not going to pretend there was any sort of concrete reports indicating that we were going to go in for Adam Wharton. I think it was more a case of, if we don't get Belabor, Adam Wharton is a player that could fit that mold. United had looked at him. I think the Athletic had that we'd looked at him, but there wasn't anything that felt like we were moving forward on that front. It still feels like Belabor is the main target. I'm just curious as to whether the manager is going to go, look, we can cope with the midfielder we've got until we get Belabor. That's the big question. Does he feel like he needs someone to come in, or does he feel as though what we've got will do us until we can get hopefully Carlos Belabor in, because it does feel like United are focused on trying to make that deal happen. One player that a lot of people in the chat a few weeks ago were talking about, saying we should go for, was Douglas Luiz. He's got a Nottingham Forest. There was sort of one that maybe we could get him from Juve on the cheap. Maybe there'd be a deal to be made there. I think they were interested in one or two of our players, or I think there was maybe talk that they could come in for Sancho, for example, and we could get someone like Douglas Luiz. Obviously isn't happening. He's going to Nottingham Forest. That sort of story that felt a little bit more fan-driven than actual news-driven, if that makes sense. Isn't happening. I get it. Look, I don't just want to get any midfielder. You have to get the one that's right. So again, there was never really anything concrete that made me think Douglas Luiz was coming to Manchester United, and he certainly isn't now. He's going to Nottingham Forest. On the incomings front at the minute, and a lot of you interested, and as always, as am I, but it does feel like it has gone a little bit cool. Doesn't seem like there's a lot of stories doing the rounds in terms of Manchester United incomings. The big story, the big news at the minute is trying to move on. The likes of Sancho, the likes of Garnacho, the likes of Antony, and the likes of Malacia. Just on the Malacia front, I think we had a little bit of an update, didn't we? Which I'll get to, forgive me. There was talk that Roma and Besiktas were in for him. There's talk that Porto are in for him as well. So it does feel like he does have some interest there. We'll have to wait and see what happens on that front. We're not going to get much money for Tyrell Malacia. We didn't pay a lot for him. I think it's just best for all concerned if he moves on. I do feel a little bit sorry for him. I always say he's catching strays with this bomb squad talk, because I don't think he was a massive problem. I think the only issue with Tyrell Malacia was he didn't listen to the club when it came to who they wanted him to go to for his surgery. He had his surgery. It didn't go according to plan. And I think that left a bit of a sour taste in the mouth with the club, because it's like, he should have listened to us. And also with Malacia, no disrespect to him, but he was just about in the squad, wasn't he? He was just about a player that was being used. He wasn't a first teamer. I know he had some first team games, especially in that first season under Erik ten Hag, but you felt like he was a squad player. And now you look at it, we've got other options there. You've brought in Diego Leon. You've also got, of course, Patrick Dorgu, who's doing a very good job at left wing back. Plus, you could play Luke Shaw there if you wanted to. So it doesn't seem as though there's any point in keeping Tyrell Malacia. At best, he'd probably be third or fourth choice, probably. So he needs to move on. Jadon Sancho needs to move on. Alejandro Garnacho needs to move on. And Antony needs to move on. Just a quick one before I let you guys go. Let's see what's happening with Antony. Again, all the reports just seem to be regurgitated ones. Not much happening there. Like, still waiting for Real Betis to pay the money. It's all the reports are that they've not given up on getting him. We'll pay it then. Honestly, there was talk, wasn't there, about a month ago, maybe he could go to Saudi. That doesn't seem to be happening. It still seems like Real Betis are the main contenders for his signature after the loan spell he had there, but they haven't come in with a proper bid that United are happy with. So in terms of this bomb squad, we've still got them all, haven't we? We've still got Garnacho. He doesn't look like he's got to Chelsea anytime soon, although eventually expect him to go there. But if they're offering 25 million, they can swivel. Then you've got Sancho's not going anywhere. He doesn't want to go to Roma. He doesn't want to go to Besiktas, I think it was. He doesn't want to go to Juve, and he didn't want to stay at Chelsea. And then you've got Malacia and Antony as well. So it's not a good place at the minute for Manchester United trying to move on players. We are going to be back later on today as well. We're going to talk about this on Transfers Live. Hopefully there might be a bit of movement today and I'll have a better update for you, because I don't like having news where it's all a bit just sort of meh or doom and gloom. Hopefully we can move these players on and we can get some players in as well before the window shuts. I still think there's room for United to bring in one or two players before the window shuts. It might be a last-minute sort of stopgap midfielder until we get Carlos Baleba in. It might even be a goalkeeper. There's still rumours that Manchester United could be in the market for a goalkeeper. So as always, we will keep you posted. Make sure, if you're not doing so already, you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. I'm Jay Motty from a pretty cloudy Salford. Thanks for watching.